turn this button.
I know, right? Okay. So much for the aloha spirit. Okay, well, let's start this celebration with a song. Let's start this celebration with a song. Let's invite the world to sing along. We got joy, peace, and life to share. We get together with love to share. Let's start this celebration with a song. Let's start this celebration with a cheer. Let's tell the world that all are welcome here. We got speakers, books, and classes too. We learn things we never knew. Let's start this celebration with a cheer. Can we hear you? Let's start this celebration with a song. This is home, we're right where we belong. We can be, do, and have it all. No dreams too big, no dreams too small. Let's start this celebration with a song. Let's start this celebration with prayer and meditation. Let's start this celebration with a song. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Are you enjoying the heat?
Yes.
Good. That's accentuating the positive to the max. And join me as we say our affirmation for Center for Spiritual Living, LaCrescenta. It's on the back of your program. We are a loving spiritual community that offers opportunity for personal growth and joyful self-expression. We are passionately dedicated to welcoming a diversity of people, activities, and ideas. We open our hearts and minds to the expression of compassion and an experience of personal growth as we live and practice science of mind principles. And so it is.
Good morning and welcome
Good morning.
to Center for Spiritual Living, LaCrescenta. We are here to help you manifest your dreams. We are here to be your backup prayer partner. So if you ever need prayer, we have a great, wonderful prayer team. Very powerful. All you have to do is just give us a call and we'll get it started. And today, we are so blessed to have with us Reverend Mary Morgan. Now, Reverend Mary is multi-talented. She is our guest speaker and our soloist.
Yep.
We have wonderful things happening today.
We do.
And now,
You're up.
Reverend Mary.
Okay. Is it my first song?
Yes, it
Oh, okay. I think so. Okay. But I do need the microphone. Thank you. And I guess I'll stand over here because we're doing a new thing. We're trying to video it today and put it on YouTube. So yay, we're stepping into the 21st century, and so other folks can see it. Now today my talk topic is accentuate the positive. So what song do you think I'm going to sing first? And God bless Cecilia. She's like, oh, am I playing this for you? So she's and I hope it's in the right key. Could you give me like a couple lead-ins? And if it's not, we're just going to do it a cappella. Okay. You start. Thank you. Joy you, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Reverend Mary.
Yes.
Now's the time for our affirmative prayer. My name is Laney. I'm the practitioner on duty today, and I'm glad to see all your smiling faces. Smile, smile.
You look good in that color.
Thank you.
Very, very pretty.
I'm trying to tie that into the title of the talk, and I can't think of something. Okay, so let's just take a nice breath and be present in this moment as you breathe in. Just feel yourself rise up in your seat, and then as you breathe out and release it, let go, and just settle down into your seat. Feel as if you're sitting in the arms of God, being hugged by God, being hugged by the divine, and so that every single thing in your life is perfect. Perfect health, perfect abundance, joyfulness, lovingness. Everything is good, because with God in your life, it is all good. And so we give great thanks for this day, this glorious California, sunny, warm, and beautiful day. We give thanks for each one of us here, knowing that it is the presence of God in each one of you. I am grateful for knowing that, grateful for being part of this divine presence. Again, it is all God, and it is all good. And so as we breathe in and breathe out, again, let us just relax into the arms and the body of God, that divine energy, that energy that Today's reading from the Science of Mind is on 489 and 490, and it's called Mental Expansion, and it's correlated to 2 Corinthians 3:18. You know, sometimes when I get these, we read the Science of Mind pages, sometimes I feel like my eyes just bulge open because the words of Ernest Holmes are so powerful, what he says and how he explains how this whole philosophy works. And this is one of those paragraphs. So, if you have the book, it's 489 and 490, and I encourage you to read it, besides listening to me say it. But we all, with open face, beholding as in a glass the glory of the Lord, are changed into the same image from glory to glory, even as by the Spirit of the Lord. As our thought is opened and we behold the image of eternity within ourselves, we are changed by this image into a newness of life. This is accomplished by the Spirit of God. The subjective state of thought is a creative medium within us. With fact, psychology has proven beyond any question of doubt. Emerson tells us that we are inlets and might become outlets to the divine nature. We are already inlets, but we must consciously become outlets. A great mystic tells us that the upper part of the soul is merged with God, and the lower part with time and conditions. Plotinus says that when the soul looks to God alone for its inspiration, its work is done better, even though its back is turned to its work. And Jesus tells us to seek the kingdom of God first, and that all else will be added unto us. Now the image of God is imprinted upon each one of us, and all reflect the divine glory to some degree. Indeed, we are part of the divine glory. When our thought is turned from limitation to the greater glory, we then reflect that glory. When the subjective state of our thought receives its images from reality, in turn, it reflects this reality into all that we do. Gradually, as this process takes place, the outer man becomes changed, and as his concepts become enlarged, so his conditions and physique take on a newness of life. And this change in the outer is brought about by the Spirit of God. The Spirit of God, being the only and one presence in the universe, brings about events and remolds conditions after its own likeness. And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Beverly. That was a good one to pick.
All right, yes. Last time for this land is your land.
to choose my own beliefs. I am free to think my own thoughts. I am free to feel what I feel. I am free to find my own truth. Amen. Free at last.
Oops. Cecilia doesn't know this, but she's also going to accompany me on this.
And she knows that one well. Yeah.
The music
Love
was
is my
there.
decision.
It's Love is my decision.
Love?
Love is my decision. Yeah.
Oh, okay. She's got the music for it.
You have the music for it?
Love
I
is my
had,
With her
decision.
probably.
I had it.
David,
Daniel Naiman.
she's got the,
Daniel Naiman?
love is my
Love is my
decision.
decision. Love is my decision.
She's got the music.
Yes. I had the music, but it's probably sitting on my dining room table. Oh, no, here it is, here it is. Here it is. Sorry about that. It's just 2 pages. Oh, okay, you'd rather use this. You'd rather use that? Okay, okay. Okay. And this is one, if you know, do you have it?
It may not be the same as yours.
Pardon me?
It may not be the same as yours.
It might be.
Do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's the exact same music.
Yours, yeah.
Mine starts in D and yours starts in what?
I don't know where's the ending of this.
Okay. Well, it's only 2 pages. It's only 2 pages. So this might be the end.
No, maybe I'll just use,
Okay, but
I
I
just
do
use
in
yours.
D. I do in D.
I don't have it on the
Okay. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
I think, and turn that over, please. Turn this over. And I'd rather do it in D, if that's okay.
Yeah, it's the same key.
It's the same key?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect then. You,
But I need the ending, I don't know the ending. Okay, it's okay.
okay.
I can just use that, so that, I can just use that.
You want to use this?
Yes.
Well, I'm
You
gonna,
wanna use-
yeah,
because
and I'll
this
use
one-
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you use that.
Because there's,
Okay. We're getting it together here. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Cecilia. She's brilliant. Let's give her a big applause. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to change hats. Thank you, Cecilia. Oh my goodness. That was so wonderful. Thank you. I quick gave her the music and said, "Here you go." So she just dove right in. So that was brilliant. Thank you. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Reverend Mary.
So my talk today is Accentuate the Positive, and as you heard the song before, but I thought I'd give you a little history about the song, because it's kind of fun to hear about. First of all, how many of you are familiar with that song? It's older than The Hills, isn't it? It's just older than The Hills. Well, actually, it got nominated for an Academy Award for the Best Original Song in 1944. And the music was written by Harold Arlen, and the words and lyrics were written by Johnny Mercer. And let me tell you how he figured it out. How it came to happen is Johnny Mercer's agent came to him and said, "You're never going to believe this. I just heard this fascinating minister speaking, and his name was M.J. Devine, true story, in New York." And he said the guy gave the best sermon, and his sermon, he said, you need to accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. And when Johnny Mercer heard that, he said, "Boy, that is a catchy phrase. I'm going to borrow that." So when he wrote it, every time they performed it, he always gave Reverend M.J. Devine the accolades for it, for giving him the inspiration for it. So I just thought I thought that was kind of interesting. Like, wow, it came from a minister. Isn't that great? So the verses of the song, you've probably heard them as I sang them earlier, and you may sing them at the end of this talk. Be ready. Get your vocal cords ready. But it's accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. Then you've got to spread joy to the maximum. You've got to bring gloom down to the minimum. You've got to have faith, or pandemonium is liable to walk upon the scene. That is the formula for successful living. Right there. That's the formula for successful living, if you think about it. So I'm going to go line by line. So accentuate the positive. Now, Lainey, in her beautiful lesson ahead of time, let's acknowledge Lainey, because that was such a beautiful lesson. And think about it. When you accentuate the positive, when you only focus on the positive, what happens? Only positive happens, right? And people go, "Oh, you know what, that's not true. I've thought positive and all this stuff, hell in a handbasket happened," right? But that's not true, because religious science wants us to know that the very essence of our being is spirit, right? And when spirit is backing our situation, no matter what it is, nothing can fail. But what happens? What happens? We let some negative little thoughts niggle in, and they kind of influence our thinking and stuff like that. But this teaching reminds us the first principle is oneness with spirit. And the moment that you're one with spirit and you understand, I am created in the image and likeness of God, and I am not only created in the image of, I am part of that spirit. So each and every one, I want you to look at your neighbor now and say, you gotta say, look at your neighbor and say, you are the living spirit of God.
Are the living spirit of God.
Now, do you believe that?
Yes.
So you believe it when someone else tells it, but do you look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that in the morning? Because you have to wake up and go, you know what? I am the living spirit of God right here and now. And God wants only positive things to be happening. And when negative stuff happens, it doesn't mean you're a bad dog. It doesn't mean that you messed up. It just means, oh, isn't that interesting? Next, and you check it off and you pass through it. It's easy to dwell in that negative stuff. We're going to get on that line in a second. When we dial into the divine sense of present, every thought, every act, our consciousness takes on that patina. And it's like, anybody remember the cartoon Mr. Magoo?
Yes.
And he always, no matter what happened, he'd be like, dun, 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 he'd fall off a bridge, and he always came out perfect, right? Nothing ever happened to him. He was a practicing religious scientist, I'll bet you. Because he just kind of kept on the mode, right? He just was didn't let any of that stuff affect him, and it drove everybody else around him crazy. And let me tell you something. When you walk into the room with a positive attitude, and your friends are negative Nellies, what happens? Sorry, whoever's name is Nellie. But you know what I'm saying? When they're negative Nellie and you're going, oh, it's all going to work out, they're like, oh, shush up. You don't know what you're talking about. Let me tell you about my problems, right? Because we could all go into a big litany of all the things that aren't working out. But this teaching says, no, no, no. What you want to do is you want to focus on the things that are working. Pardon me. And why is that? Why are we focusing on the things that are working? Because what we focus on expands. Where we put our thought expands. I hear bells. Some angel just got there with us. I love it. So the thing is, every time you shift your consciousness into accepting the positive, you're already setting the tone for harmony, for balance, for things to work out. And you know what? We all are energy, and we are all vibrating this energy. And the moment you send out that energy, remember the character in Peanuts, Pigpen?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Pigpen? He's always got that thing of dust around him, right? We know people like that, don't we? Well, our dust is positive dust. It's all these positive ions that are moving around and lifting everything up. And the moment you're in the presence of someone that's really uplifting and positive, you cannot help but smile. So think about this for a second. All right, I want you to show me your biggest smile. Show me your biggest smile. Think about that. Your face just went, oh, thank you, right? And sometimes you go, oh, I'm really happy. Honest, I am. It's like, really? You better tell your face because it doesn't know yet. So the thing is, the moment you change your muscles to go upwards, life shifts. The energy shifts. Your whole everything shifts. Every moment we're living, we're developing an attitude towards life. So think about it. You want to wake up today. Do you want to set the tone for a positive experience, or do you want to set the tone for a negative experience? And you go, oh, but Reverend Mary, you have no idea what's happened to me. I'm like, I don't care. In one sense, I mean, I'm compassionate. I just mean, I don't want to hear about that. Let's talk about the solution. Let's see beyond it. Let's say, you know what? That beautiful saying, this too shall pass. Or the other beautiful one, it came to pass. It didn't come to stay. And sometimes we set up a tent and say, here, stay, you can live in the backyard for a long time if you want to, with our problems, because we get used to seeing in the negative or carrying it with us, going, well, it's just my plight in life, my genetic code, my grandmother had this, so I'm going to get it too. Or, you know what, I'm just so used to a big zero in my bank account. Or my kid is just so, they're just never going to go to college, they're never going to do anything, and, we never did this, and this is the way it is. But guess what? It stops here. It stops right here, the moment you want it to stop. The moment you want to shift into something positive, into something new, all the forces in the universe are going to conspire with you to stay with it and say, yes, we are for you. We are for you. But the universe can only do for us what we let in. Right? So if our thought is, I stink at math. I've never been good at math. And I laugh at this because I have a job where a lot of times I've done math and I think, oh my goodness. And my brother will be like, how did you ever get a job doing math? You hated math. I go, I know, I don't know what it is. But you know what? I just didn't let it, I said, I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to not let those things happen. Anybody ever learn a new thing? Yes, I think we've all, only a few of you raised your hands now. Come on. All of us have learned something new. And when you learn something new, right, it's uncharted territory. You've got to figure it out. But once you figure it out, you go, hey, I can do that. Like I know you were talking about watercolor. You may dive into watercoloring. And at first you may not be so great at it. But then after a while you go, hey, I'm kind of getting the hang of this thing. And I kind of like it. I like the way it feels. So the universe says, depend on the divine within you only. But a lot of times we depend on the news, we depend on what our friends say, we depend on what our mechanic says, we depend on what our bank account says, all that kind of stuff. No. What we do is get into the vision of what it is you really want. I'm going to advertise later a workshop that I'm teaching, and I hope some of us are going to take it, and it's based on the book, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And what we talk about is figuring out what it is we want. Now, how many out there know what you want? Some of you do. All the time? Did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Yes, she did. But a lot of folks, very good, one person. But do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't know what we want. So what we do is we figure out what we don't want, and when we know what we don't want, it helps us to find what we do want. And then what do? Once you know what you want, you get into the feeling of what it is that you want. You get into the feeling and you get into that imagination and you make it as juicy as possible to think about what would life be like if I had this, or if I had the pony that I always wanted. Wouldn't that be fun? In my backyard. There you go, little pony in my backyard. So see, we're already made of God. There's no more God that can get in. But God can only show up to the extent that we appreciate it, that we acknowledge it, that we know it. And think about appreciation for a second. Think about it in terms of your bank account. You have money in your account, and your money appreciates. What does that mean? It grows. It grows, right? It gathers. It gathers. And so the whole idea of knowing what it is that you want, and all the goodness that is expressing through you, the moment you do that, it absolutely manifests. So the next line is eliminate the negative. That could take a whole day, couldn't it? We could talk about that all day long. God in me is greater than anything in the world that happens to me. God in me is greater than anything that happens to me. And the moment that you declare that, everything shifts, because your energy will be different. You know, Eleanor Roosevelt said, all the water in the world cannot drown you if you don't let it in. It's the same with negativity. You know, the other day I was working on this talk, and I thought, well, I'm done for now, and I'm gonna take a little break and I'm gonna watch TV. And I turned TV on, and Dateline was on, and it was talking about some yucky murder. And I went, oh man, here I am, accentuate the positive, and I turned this thing and I thought, holy smokes, and I thought, click, and it's the same with life. We just change the channel. When you start hearing negative thought, you go, oh, no, I am not going to go down that rabbit hole. Do not let yourself go down. We can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. You know, there's a book by that. And it's true, because the second you do that, all your energy starts to pitfall. And then you spill your coffee, and then you get a flat tire, and then you're late on the freeway, or whatever it is, right? Because why? The energy that you're floating out there has now become negative, down on this negative thought plane. So when you think with complete conviction of the outcome that you desire, the direction you want to go, the law of mind will operate exactly as you think. Not as you say, but as you think. So sometimes we say, but you know, I say all these affirmations, and I read all this stuff. Oh, wouldn't it be lovely if we were as smart as all the books we read? I don't know about you, but I've got big libraries. I look at all those books. I've read a lot of them. And I think to myself, what's the deal here? Why aren't I absorbing this? It's like, because I'm not focusing on it. I'm focusing on the problem du jour, or whatever it is. It's so easy to get wrapped up in the outside world. So you say, you know what? Every morning you start out your day. My friend said, what does he say? He says, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am prosperous, and I am loved. He just says that. He just wakes up out of bed and states that. And when you state that, guess what? You just set the tone for the whole day. You just set the tone for the whole day. Start singing. Listen to our beautiful Susan singing. Just sing a song. You start getting in the doldrums, knock it off. You know what? Just start singing a song. When we think with complete conviction of the outcome we desire, it's going to happen. The law of mind exactly follows our thought. But don't let what hasn't happened in your life determine what can happen in your future. Don't let what hasn't happened in your life determine what can happen in the future. I don't know about you, but when we're learning new things, and we're learning today how to, and thank you very much, Ty. Hey, we ought to give Ty an applause here, too. I just thought about that. Yay, Ty. We're doing a YouTube today, and I had to learn quickly. It was baptism by fire back there. Quick, learn how to do the YouTube. And I did. Thank you to Grant, who helped us. And you all remember Grant. He's in Redondo Beach now. But the thing is learning something new, you go, you know what? I can do this. God, by means of me, is knowing the right things to do and the right buttons to push and whatever it is I have to do. And the moment we declare that, again, everything starts shifting to our experience. We can choose thoughts that make things difficult, and we can believe that we have to do everything on our own power, too. So I'll tell you a little story. There's a story about a man, a father, and his little son, and they're walking down the trail, and they're hiking. And he says, you know, Dad, do you think because I'm as strong as anybody else in the whole wide world? He goes, oh, absolutely I do. He goes, so do you think I could move, they see a big rock, and he goes, do you think I could move that rock if I tried really, really hard? And the father says, I believe if you used all your strength, you could move that rock. And the boy goes, okay. So he runs up to the big rock, and he pushes and he pushes and he pushes and he pushes, and he cannot move that rock. And he's like, hey, Dad, you told me I could move that rock if I used all my strength. And the father goes, yes, I told you you could move the rock if you used all your strength. And part of that strength is asking for my help. And think about it. Sometimes we forget to ask for help and we think we have to do everything on our own. Oh God, now I gotta figure this out. What am I gonna do about, oh, I'm in this new pickle. What am I gonna do now? No. You say, you know what? God by means of me is knowing exactly what to do, even if you don't know what to do. Guess what? You have access to the entire mind of the universe that knows everything. I remember reading stories about Edgar Cayce. He went to school and he wasn't doing really well in school, and he slept on the book, and he told the book that all the knowledge in the book was going to go into his head, and when he took the test he got straight A's. And it's because, now wouldn't that just be lovely? And guess what? If he could do it, you could do it. Why not? Why not? But see, we laugh and go, yeah, well that was Edgar Cayce. He's like an anomaly, so forget it. No, we can do those things. You just have to believe in it, right? It's not, what's the beautiful saying? It's not, if I see it, I believe it. It's if you believe it, you'll see it. It's the reverse. When you believe it, you're going to see it. So thinking into limitation means you always have to do it by yourself. But thinking into possibility means you are going to get help to do it. And it's important to not use the words, to eliminate the word I can't out of your experience. Why is that? Why do we say I can't? Because maybe you feel like you can't. Change the consciousness that created the issue that you're in and that you're facing. Correct the thinking, and that thinking will correct the condition. So think about it. Whatever we're experiencing right now is because of our thought. It's only because of our thought. Because think about this. We were all created perfect. We were all created healthy, wealthy, wise, perfect. And what happens is, as we get older, think of the innocence of a child and the wonder that they have when they just see a butterfly, right? We don't go sit down and tell the kid when they're all enamored seeing the butterfly, we don't go, yeah, but you have no idea what that butterfly's been through. Let me tell you what. It went through a little metamorphosis and turned into a little soup, and then it turned into a butterfly. You don't tell a kid that. The kid just goes, wow, look at this butterfly. Because once we've been through stuff, once we've been through it, you don't care about what you've been through, you just know the end goal. So when you focus on the end goal, you just have that wonder of a child and say, you know what, I can figure this out. I can create all of the experiences that I want, but it's all up here. I have to start with here. I have to start, what do I want to focus on? What do I want to know about my truth? That's why it's important to saturate yourself with positive books, affirmations, music, dance, whatever it is that gets you into this energized feeling of can do, right? Now here's the next line. Latch on to the affirmative. In religious science, prayer is affirmative. It's always affirmative. It's never, oh dear God, please help my dear aunt who's a pain in the patootie, and let's get her out of my experience. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying, dear God, I am knowing harmonious relationships in everyone that I meet. I'm feeling joy, I'm feeling uplifted, I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? We're saying that. Why is that? We're giving our recipe to the universe. You know, when we go into a restaurant, we probably know better what we want to order for dinner than what we want to order for our lives, right? But guess what? When the waitress comes up to you and you go, just give me something. I'm hungry. Just give me something. I'm a vegan. Yeah, okay. And I don't I can't eat bread. I'm gluten free. Oh, and I'm lactose intolerant too. And that's just like, well, what, you want French fries? And oh no, I can't eat potatoes, too high on the carbs, right? So think about it. We've got to know what it is that we want in order to place our order. We give that order to the universe. The universe is going, what's your desire? What is it that you want, right? And then it says, I will support you. And so you say, remember, we don't pray saying something, well, you know what, I'm going to pray for this. I know it isn't so. I'm hoping it will be, but I'm hoping you can fix it because it's really not so. No, that's not how we pray. We pray saying, this is the truth of my being. This is what I absolutely know is my truth. I am knowing health is manifesting in me right now. I'm knowing wealth is manifesting in me. I am knowing all the possibilities in the world are showing up at my doorstep, and the sky is the limit for me, right? And feel the difference versus saying, oh dear God, you know, my toe is killing me. If you could just help me, you know, just get the right bandages for it or something. You know what I'm saying? That when you don't go with the trouble, you go with the positive. You go with the, this is what it is that I desire. And the moment you know that, the universe says, oh, is that your truth? Then I support you. And it will support you. So think about a math equation. You know, math, here it is with math again. With math, it only works when you apply the proper equation to it. You have to do the formula to get the answer. It's the same with prayer. So we can't go to God telling God how big the problem is. We go to God saying, this is what it is that I desire. And in the, you know, in Genesis it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, right? The beginning is the Word. So you speak the Word, and you say that word, and you know that truth. Oh my goodness, I've got 3 more pages. We're not going to cover that, are we?
Next time.
Begin to identify yourself with the abundance and see the circumstances temporary. It's just a temporary hiccup. So say you want to create health in your experience. What's the truth about you? The truth is you are already healthy. You are already healthy. So you remove the shroud that's been blocking the health from showing up. And you create it in your experience. You know it is your truth. You see everything clearing out. You see every cell and atom and muscle and sinew and tissue and everything hearing that word. And the second that it hears that word, it says, oh, it perks up. Remember the word impossible, and you break it down to I'm possible. Don't say impossible anymore. I'm possible. That's all that word means, that I'm possible. And the moment you open yourself to that possibility, you realize that I love Dr. Frank Rischler was one of my teachers, and he always had this beautiful phrase, and he said, there's not a spot where God is not. So the second you start to feel funky about something, you just go, you know what, there's not a spot where God is not. I'm just not letting that in. That's not a part of my consciousness. I'm only accepting this. And you're accepting that with God all things are possible. Now here's the last line. Don't mess with Mr. In-Between. Who's Mr. In-Between? Do you ever teeter-totter about you say you want something, then you go, oh, you know, and then you go, oh, you know what? I tried it for a week, and see, I told you it wasn't going to work, right? And we do that. And then we look for evidence for how things aren't going to work. Don't have that in your experience. Just say, I am knowing the truth of my being is expressing right now to my highest and grandest good, greater than I can even imagine. And the moment you do that, you have opened yourself up, and the universe says, oh, I like playing with this person. This is fun. We're going to create some great stuff right now. So there are times when things don't seem to line up, and every door seems to be closed. Anyone ever have that feeling? Have you ever had that feeling like all the doors are closed and you go, uh-oh, now I don't know what to do, right? So there's a power that says, I will help you, and I'm going to help you get past this challenge. But it also reminds us that you have to be open and receptive. So you just say, all the divine guidance in the world is available to me. And guess what? Things start to happen. Somebody calls you out of the blue, or somebody says, hey, did you hear about this? And they'll tell you a story about something. And you'll hear. We have to let the divine cut through all the stuff that we're doing. So what holds us back? Again, our own thinking. Our own thinking says, oh, I want to believe, but gosh, all this, look at this. This is a mess. It's like I could tell you a million stories about all the mess. No, you don't want to dial into that any longer. You want to just say, I am aligned with the good of my life. The good of my life is in my experience right now. So I'm going to cut to the chase, and guess what? We're going to sing, and we're going to sing on this side, and we're going to sing on this side. So the left side is going to say, you've got to.
You've got to.
Okay, right side, accentuate the positive.
You've got to.
Accentuate the
Okay,
positive.
you've got to eliminate the negative. You've got to latch on to the affirmative. And don't mess with Mr. In-Between. Okay, let's try it one more time. You've got to accentuate.
the positive.
You've got to eliminate the negative. You've got to latch on to the affirmative and don't mess with Mr. In Between. And so it is. Okay. We didn't know you were singing, did you? Okay. And now I believe it's our
Yeah.
Susan.
Yeah, it's me again.
All righty, here we go. Thank you.
You know what, just go ahead and leave it, and I'll just use that mic.
And I don't have my program anymore.
So now is our time for our offering. Oh my goodness, I feel tall, I love it.
You are tall.
So let's all sing about all the blessings that we receive in our life. I am so blessed. Join me in saying our offertory ideas about sharing. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless. It is evidence of my conviction that God is the source and substance of my supply. I joyously contribute to the vision of the spiritual center, knowing that it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is. So just in this moment, close your eyes, take a breath, and just imagine yourself being supplied by that God, that divine energy, that magnetic energy, knowing that as you give out, you receive back multiplied abundantly. Just imagine that feeling of all your needs being met in every single way. It doesn't have to be money. It can be a smile, a handshake. It can be anything that makes you feel abundant and taken care of. That is the source. And feel that connection to the source right now. As you breathe in and breathe out, release it and let God do what God does in your life. God does in your life. And it is good. And so it is. So it is. And now it's offering. Okay, so our announcements today. All books in our bookstore are 25% off during July and August. So if you have summer birthdays or coming up fall birthdays, take a look. There might be something in there that would be a great gift. Carol Bingaman is our chef of the day, and her menu is, ooh, this sounds so good, lemon garlic chicken chunks, roasted veggies, rice, a Caesar salad, and bread pudding. And please mark your calendars for Saturday, August 19th. We will again be having a healing sound bath here, and it is scheduled at 1 p.m. The donation is $25. And for those of you who are interested, we, on Wednesday evenings for just an hour from 6:30 to 7:30, we have a little discussion group. It is our spiritual living circle, and we just discuss some of the articles that are in our Science of Mind magazine. So anybody and everybody is welcome. And now what you've all been waiting for, our Sunday funnies. The first thing I did when I heard our great-granddaughter was born was to text my son. "You are a great uncle." He texted me back immediately. "Thank you. What did I do?" Okay. All right. My 35-year-old son and I had just finished our meal when I realized I'd left my wallet in my truck. As I headed out the door, I told the waitress what had happened. "But don't worry," I said with a grin, "I'm leaving my son for collateral." She looked at him, he winked at her, she turned back to me. "What else you got?"
Okay, our benediction. Put your hand on your heart and please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right
It's
now.
happening through my mind,
It's happening through my mind,
my body,
my body,
and every aspect of my life.
and every aspect of my
I
life.
think it.
I think
I
it,
know it.
I know it,
I believe it.
I believe it,
I accept it.
I accept it.
I'm never alone.
I am never